Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, and I've often mentioned on this channel that there is a incredibly valuable quantity that you cannot measure in the gaming world, and that comes from the publisher, the developers, and the consumer, to the consumer, I should say, and that is goodwill. Goodwill is something that I have seen publishers absolutely nuke and destroy, and it's usually not destroyed overnight. It's usually destroyed after a series of events, but there are milestones that I think you can look at and be like, huh, that did a lot of damage to goodwill. And enter Yakuza Kiwami 3. I am not here to make hyperbolic takes as in RGG is dead. Yakuza as an IP is dead, because I think a lot of those hyperbolic takes exist right now, and they are very much coming across to me as being a prisoner of the moment. But absolutely, Yakuza Kiwami 3 needs to be an eye-opening experience for Sega, for Ryuga Gotoku Studios, and everybody involved, because there are some times when you can look at online discourse as a vocal minority, and then you get the numbers to back it up, and then you get more of the reception towards the game, and then you can come towards a conclusion. So, Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties did officially drop on February the 11th. The story at this point has been widely touted. There have been some story shifts as well, which I personally do not care that much about, in the sense of the typical scenario where if you want to do a remake, reimagining, whatever the case may be, and you want to shift the story, I honestly think it makes things more entertaining. I am very much in favor of Final Fantasy VII Remake, however you want to perceive it, going in a little bit of a different direction than just being a straight one-to-one remake from a narrative standpoint, and how you view FF7 is another can of worms. You know, some people view it as a sequel, whatever the case may be. However, the difference with FF7 and Yakuza Kiwami 3 is that Yakuza 3 is being delisted to buy. It's almost being erased from being available. Final Fantasy VII, the original, still exists and you can buy it. So I think this situation is just a disaster in that regard. There are other issues with the game, of course, and the development, but now let's look at some of the assessments that people have. Mixed reception on Steam right now, 758 Steam user reviews, 63% positive. This is by far the worst received Yakuza game in history, and generally speaking, the Yakuza games are one of the most consistently well-received games on Steam from a user reception standpoint. One user notes, soundtrack is awful, recasting fan-favorite characters, did not address Kagawa, 10,000 plus petitions to remove him, but somehow addressed lackluster graphics, only 31 sub-stories when the original had 119, made a Ryukyu smaller than the original, delisted original game behind a $100 paywall, huge story retcon that doesn't even line up with the next game in the series, and what the idea is that the next game in the series is going to drop the Kiwami moniker and they're going to do a new line of games, which honestly sounds like a train wreck and sounds like a disaster. And imagine launching a new line of games and the one that is paving the way for the new line of games is received the way Kiwami 3 has been received. I think this is a game based on its reception. They have to sit down and really have to assess it. Another user notes, what the hell is happening with RGG Studio? They had one job with Kiwami 3 Remake, port the story to Dragon Engine with the new combat and maybe fix some rough parts of the original gameplay. While the game itself is decent, there are a lot of baffling changes compared to the original. This is a lengthy review, so again, check out the reviews for yourself, but you know, there's a lot there to take into account. The game is the prime example of RGG's downfall and the lack of care, respect for original works, and respect for the community. They released a remake of Kiwami 3, full of retcons, removed content, terrible lighting, mediocre combat, and a lot of music was replaced or outright removed after beating this game. I gave it a 5.5. You know, those are reviews, and 758 reviews might not be the largest sample size of reviews in the world, but how about we look at the oh-so-trusty Steam concurrent player count number? And bear in mind that RGG puts out a lot of games. Last year, they put out Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, which is a game that if you wanted to play that was more so for the hardcore Yakuza fans as well. It was highlighting Majima in his own game, and it was more of a sub-story rather than a mainline title, so I feel like it's relative to compare both of those, and they were priced similarly at $60 a pop. Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii peaked at 22,327 players. Yakuza has never been the biggest franchise franchise in the world, but, you know, 22,000 is fine for a game like this, and Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza actually has 3,400 Steam reviews, 90% positive, so far better received in terms of Steam user reception. So, how about Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties? Where did it peak at? How about 8,317 concurrent players? They slashed off 2/3 of the concurrent player count for Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. If that isn't an eye-opening statement to you, I don't know what will be. And you could say, hey, this is Yakuza Kiwami 3, you need to play Kiwami 1 and 2, that's why the game didn't do as big, but that's the case with Pirate Yakuza as well. You would want to have played the other games. That's the case for a lot of these titles that come out. I wasn't expecting this game to pull numbers that Infinite Wealth had pulled, but to be at 8,000 concurrent players is a disaster. I don't think you could put it any other way. Infinite Wealth peaked at 46,161. That was the mainline next Yakuza title in the Like a Dragon series. I can understand it not going that far, but to be at a third of the numbers of Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, I don't know how you can frame this in any other way than it's an unmitigated disaster. Absolutely, you've damaged a lot of goodwill that you have for this franchise, that consumers have for this franchise. The sales, and based on visible data, obviously reflect that. The Steam reception is weaker, and again, these are all the publicly available data sets. This is what we have to go off of. And you just look at the general discourse, it does not feel like people are high on Yakuza as an IP right now. And you pulled the original Yakuza 3, so now you're talking about that game being pulled. It's behind a $100 paywall. People are furious about that. Just an unmitigated disaster as far as damaging goodwill. Now, I am not here to say that RGG, it's over for them, that it's game, set, match, that they can't recover from this. I really do believe that if in the next 12 months or 15 months, 18 months, they drop Stranger Than Heaven, their new IP that's coming out, and that's received well, people are going to change tunes very quickly, and they're going to start singing about, oh my god, RGG is back, we are cooking. And what happens with the next Like a Dragon game? I feel like Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, outside of the greedy aspects with the deluxe edition and whatnot, that game was received fairly well, and I feel like the next Like a Dragon game, it has potential to be a well-received game. However, the pressure is on now, and let's forget about whatever they're gonna do with this new Yakuza titles and what's gonna happen after Kiwami 3 as far as this new story and new line of games. I think that's cooked beyond belief, and they have to really get back to the drawing board on that, because right now, focus on Stranger Than Heaven, get that out, you gotta make sure that game is good, and then the next mainline Like a Dragon title, you gotta make sure that is good. Right now, those two need to be of priority. You can't do any nonsense of delisting games. You can't do any New Game Plus is behind Deluxe Edition. You need to knock it out of the park with those two titles to restore a lot of the goodwill. I'm not here to say Yakuza is cooked. Look, last year's game was quite good. The year before that, we had quite a good game. However, Kiwami 3 was an unmitigated disaster. Let's just put it as it is. It was a disaster situation, and it has damaged Yakuza as an IP. Absolutely. Is it recoverable? Is RGG's goodwill recoverable? Yes. We've seen the song and dance play out as far as goodwill being recovered. We've seen it with so many games. However, the pressure is on now. The next game and the game after that, the next mainline Like a Dragon title, you're fighting an uphill battle now, which is ideally not the spot that you want to be at, but how about you learn from this? This is the moment where something happens where you sit down and you learn from this. You learn with the disaster situation of Kiwami 3 and you realize, okay, maybe we should listen a little more and we need to pivot in the correct way that can revitalize the games a little bit and make people forget about this. That's what you want. A year from now, 2 years from now, if you drop two back-to-back high-quality titles in Stranger Than Heaven and Like a Dragon, this will be a footnote and people will forget about it. But that needs to happen. You need to do two quality games back to back now, and the pressure is on. So we'll see how all of that turns out, but that's going to do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Interested to hear what you guys think, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.